The shadow falls over everything Marine has ever known. When it had first covered her home, bathing the street beyond her window in unexpected shade, she had thought it an eclipse. There wasn't supposed to be one then, she is sure of that, although if pressed she could not have told you what day it is today. Before the shadow fell, she is sure that the sun was shining brightly, although if pressed she could not have pictured it. And the humid heat of a lingering summer had left the world sleepy and unprepared, although, if pressed, she remembers the heat, but not the season. All told, the time before the sky was covered is hazy to her, but she knows that there was one, a time before something blocked out the sun. It moves and shifts as if it is willed, clearly a part of some greater whole. A foot? A hand? Perhaps a single finger? To look up is to see only the smallest fraction of it covering the sky, and half of Marine's mind screams at her to get back, to get further away, to get to a distance where perhaps she could see the whole of it, a position where the idea of comprehending what she is looking at isn't some bitter joke. But the other half of her mind whispers the truth, that it is already so far away that to see it in its entirety is impossible. And if she did, she could not understand it. But there is another certainty within her, another piece of terrible knowledge that bubbles up unbidden from somewhere in Marine's soul that is no longer hers. It is coming closer. It is descending on her home and everything that she has ever known. And when it arrives, it will not even notice that it has destroyed her, that it has so casually wiped from the world everything that she will ever know or love. It will crush her home. It will crush her family and her city and her world. The shadow is over everything. Marine gathers her mother, who sits in the kitchen over a pot of sour-smelling tea, berating her that they should have left earlier. She gathers her husband, who snorts in derision and tells her that he's heard that there isn't really any danger at all. She gathers her daughter, who asks with wide eyes and the voice of nervous innocence where they are going, what's going on. Marine cannot quite make out their faces as she bundles them into the car, old and shuddering as it coughs into life. Does she remember having a child? A spouse? Does she remember her mother having such a cruel sneer? It doesn't matter. They are here now, and she has to save them. She cannot leave them to the growing shadow, and the thing coming ever closer. She starts to drive. The streets are empty, the blank-faced strangers around them frozen, staring to the sky in still and silent expectation. There is no traffic, nothing to stop the laboured grinding of the elderly car as it careens down the street, hunting desperately for the edge of the shadow. Marine knows if she can just escape it, find where it ends and the sunlight hits the earth, they can be free. They will not be beneath it when the vast being arrives. But there is no hope in her for it, no glimmer of optimism as they hurtle down street after street. Only the crushing dread, the leaden knowledge that they started too late, that they're not fast enough, that the shadow reaches 1,000 miles in every direction and they could drive for a month. Have they been driving that long? How many miles have they travelled now? And still they would never get away, never cross that line from below the shadow into open, sunlit air. The world gets darker, and the thing moves closer. It will be upon them any moment now. The car grinds and crunches somewhere in its engine, and rolls to a stop. Marine grabs her daughter, now crying with fear and confusion, and begins to run. Where is she running to? It will be upon them all soon, wiping out everything they were or are or will be, rendering their lives an unremembered blip, crushed beneath its unstoppable significance. It is right above them, and it will not stop. How long has she been running? Minutes? Days? Her unfamiliar daughter laughs cruelly, carried in Marine's exhausted arms. They cannot escape the shadow, as their doom gets forever closer. Far, infinitely far above her, Edward holds his grip tight. His fingers are white with strain, and his own arms burn and ache deeper than he thought possible. He is interlocked, woven into an unending tapestry of suffering, contorted bodies. The shape that they create is a mystery to him, but as it moves he can feel his own muscles twitch and stretch with those he holds onto, together shifting and pulling and lifting the bulk of the thing of which he is only the tiniest part. Where the impulses come from he does not know, travelling through the impossible colossus, rippling down the people who form its bulk, moving as one. He does not know where in the thing he is, but suspects that it is not too far from the edge, for sometimes he can see something he might almost believe to be sky. Some part of it hits the ground, however distantly below him that may be, a foot perhaps, or a limb of some sort. The shuddering impact of it resonates up through the bodies that surround him, and all at once they cry out in pain. He can hear bones snap and tendons rip as the force of the step sharply shifts the twisted arrangement of human misery. Edward's own neck is spun, pushed by the shoulder of the woman crushed in behind him, and turned so far to the side that he is sure another millimetre, and it will break entirely. For hours he holds that position, dreading every moment that the next motion of the thing they construct will break him like thin porcelain. And then it comes. Not another stepping impact, for those are rare and ponderous, but the agonized pull of the whole trying to lift itself. Every muscle in every body tenses all at once, and Edward finds himself moving, pushed and squeezed and gasping for space and free. Without warning, he finds himself in open air, forced out of the thing like a shoot pushing up through the soil. He takes in a deep breath, his protesting limbs now limp and almost useless, and collapses upon a ground that looks up at him in envy. No, not a ground, for it is only now that Edward realizes how thin the air is, how cold it is without the warmth of uncountable bodies surrounding him on all sides. Behind him, he can see the shifting sea of people stretching out forever, but in front of him, a few hundred meters away, there is what appears to be an edge. In a place where time has meaning, it might be said it takes Edward hours, days to drag himself over the writhing floor. But eventually he finds himself laying upon that horizon, willing himself to look out, over and down, see where he is, if there is any place to which he might escape. And so finally, he looks. His stomach drops, and his arms seize as he looks upon 100 miles of slowly moving humanity down to a stark and barren ground far below. It is so far down that if he climbed for a year, he would not reach the end of it. His tears fall down and away into the open sky. His teeth lock in fear, and he begins to try and move backwards, away from the precipice. But there is a movement, a shift in the people below him as the great beast stretches some part of itself. A wave of spasming limbs passes beneath Edward, and in a moment he is flung upwards and away, out into the empty air below. He is falling. He cannot breathe as the air is forced from his lungs and the razor-cold wind lashes at his skin. He is falling. The beast he was once a part of is a blur beside him as he plummets, human forms lost in the strange, moving texture. He is falling, and he is so small and so afraid he wonders if he will ever hit the ground. He does not want to die smeared over that flat and hateful wasteland far below, and he flails, limbs throwing themselves violently around, trying to catch a hold of something, anything, to save himself. Edward feels a hand grip his. The stop is sudden, violent, wrenching his shoulder from its socket with a wet pop. He screams in pain, but also in relief, as he hangs there, suspended above his fate. Despite his dread, it takes only a moment for him to make his decision. He reaches out with his other arm, and feels it gripped by a dozen hands as, slowly, inexorably, Edward allows himself to be pulled back into the great, suffering colossus. Far below, there is another impact, as if something were being stepped on.